Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. I'm Drawing with Mr. S, and today I'm bringing you episode 4 of the World Building Challenge series, and I cannot wait for you guys to see it because, honestly, it's got to have my favorite character design that I've drawn in it, and I get a little bit of redemption if you watch the last episode. So, without further ado, let's jump into episode 4, The Red Guardian. Ruku and Salal rested for the night after facing off against a giant red panda and canary chimera hybrid. After defeating the chimera they named Pandanary, both Salal and Ruku began getting overwhelmed by feelings of familiarity, as though they had fought countless battles before. This, of course, was something that didn't make sense, considering they had only just met. Regardless, the battle against the chimera convinced Salal to join Ruku and gather the remaining heroes to stop the threat to Wanaba. Over the course of the next 4 days, Ruku and Salal headed east to the land of orcs following a magic golden compass belonging to Salal, which was currently in Ruku's possession. The compass has the ability to point in the direction of the holder's desire. In this case, Ruku is trying to find the hero that fits the red floating image with the tattoo from his most recent vision. On their journey, the two had come across many smaller, low-level chimeras. They came across a butterfly bee chimera, a rabbit guinea pig bear chimera, and a hummingbird snail hermit crab chimera. Together, Ruku and Salal easily defeated the different chimeras that have broken through the magic barrier surrounding the land of monsters. This, of course, made the need to assemble the remaining heroes that much more important. After journeying through thickets of forested areas, Ruku and Salal found themselves arriving at a small village called Morkai, near the natural mountain barrier which separated the land of elves from the land of orcs. Ruku and Salal found an inn in the village where they traded items they acquired from defeating the Pandanary for room and board. As Ruku was checking the two of them into the inn, Salal, waiting outside, began overhearing rumors from the townsfolk discussing a strong warrior who had been protecting the village from monster attacks single-handedly. Salal filled Ruku in on the information he gathered, and the two began walking deeper into the village. Many of the townsfolk in the deepest parts of the village were repairing damages to their homes. There were many claw marks along the stone path, scorch marks on the sides and roofs of the homes, and a large gaping hole in the protective gate facing the mountain pass. What do you think could have done this, my friend? Not sure. It could be a chimera like the other ones we fought, or perhaps they were invaded by enemies? Salal was about to respond when the village bell began to ring. The villagers began running away from the gate, and Ruku knew instantly that the village was under attack. A muscular red orc covered in piercings, chest armor, and large boots began running past the village gate with a giant axe in hand. For a muscular orc carrying a two-handed weapon, he was very agile. He even managed to leap above the largely crowded areas with ease. What caught Ruku's attention was the orc's right arm. It was covered in the same tattoo that he had seen from his vision. Ruku and Salal proceeded to run on foot to catch up to the red orc. When they did, they found the reason for the warning bell. In front of the red orc was a 20-foot tall green, red, and gold chimera. It appeared to be part cobra and scorpion. The chimera had 2 long bull-like looking horns coming from the top of its head, a large scorpion-like tail, golden pincers, and 6 legs. The most extraordinary thing that either Ruku or Salal had seen was the chimera's extra eyes near its wrists and an additional mouth on its chest. The large scorpion tail began swinging at the red orc, but the orc was unfazed. He used his axe to deflect the chimera's swift attacks. He then ran in close, but the chimera began blowing fire from the mouth on his chest. Without skipping a beat, the red orc spun the giant axe in front of him like a propeller and protected himself from the flames. The red orc growled. Then he swung his axe at the chimera, but the chimera was quick on its 6 feet. Then it tried using its pincers to chop off the red orc's head, but he rolled on the ground and swung his axe at one of the legs. The chimera jumped and began breathing fire from both of its mouths this time. The red orc lifted his left arm to deflect the incoming fire with his shield gauntlet. The red orc then rolled out of the way again before the chimera landed on top of him. Should we help him out? Something is telling me not to. I think we would only upset him. The orc or the cobra scorn? Cobra scorn? Huh? Wait, never mind. The red orc charged in, and this time he leapt into the air with his axe overhead. The cobra scorn made a shrieking sound when the axe came down on its skull. Blood began to pour from the chimera's head until its body lay lifeless. The red orc removed the axe from the monster and began walking over towards Ruku and Salal. Hey there, I'm Ruku, and this is Salal, and we're... The red orc walked past the heroes and made his way back to the village. I don't think convincing him is going to be easy, Ruku. I think you may be right. Ruku and Salal went back to the inn after losing the red orc in the crowd. Are you sure he is one of the heroes from the legend you told me? I'm very certain he is. Then what are we to do about getting him to join us? I'm not sure, Salal. Maybe we'll have a better idea about it in the morning. A few hours after closing their eyes, Ruku and Salal were awakened by another warning bell. Salal took 2 pistols out of his pocket dimension, and Ruku grabbed his magic tome. The two ran out of the inn and could see in the sky another chimera. This one was not as big as the cobra scorn. This chimera was close to 8 feet in height. It was a rat-owl hybrid, a rowlet. The two heads were fighting each other mid-flight. The owl's head would peck at the rat's head, and the rat's head would bite down on the owl's neck. They were covered in blood, some of it their own, and some from whoever or whatever they hunted. Standing tall in the village square under the moonlight was the red orc with his axe in hand. Ruku saw the red orc in his stillness, and visions began flooding through his mind. It was of the red orc and him laughing after a hard-fought battle. Salal shook Ruku back to his senses. This is not the time to be daydreaming, my friend. Salal, I had another vision. This is definitely our guy. The red orc leaped into the air and swung his axe, but the rowlet evaded easily in the air. As the red orc began dropping down towards the ground, the left side, underneath the owl head, began to open. Inside the opening was a yellow eye surrounded by swirling red energy. The rowlet then released energy from its eye, sending the red orc a few feet into the ground. Salal began firing his pistols at the chimera, startling him and drawing him near him. As the rowlet came close, Ruku unleashed one of his newest spells, Cinder Punch. Ruku's right fist was enveloped in flames as he thrusted a punch towards the rowlet. The punch exploded once it made contact with the rat's head. The ricochet from the punch slid Ruku back behind Salal. The owl tried moving, but the rat's head was unconscious. The ground began to rumble, and the red orc swiftly jumped out of the hole and cut the chimera in half. That was incredible, Groz! Groz gripped his axe tighter. His muscles began to clench before he spoke. How do you know my name, halfling? That's difficult to answer. Why don't we have a meal? You always enjoy eating after a fight. Groz clenched his teeth and snarled. Ruku, are you sure about this? Salal, I'm sure. Groz is our friend. Things will begin to make more sense once we have a chance to sit down and talk. Ruku smiled at Groz, and Groz let down his guard. Something about the way Ruku smiled put Groz at ease. He had a feeling that he could trust the halfling elf. Groz began to take a step forward when the village warning bell rang again. This time it was louder, and followed a different ringing pattern than the previous bells. Seriously, how can there be another chimera attack? This is no ordinary chimera. This is the Wakalee Garu, the strongest chimera according to orc legend. I have fought it before, but barely held it off myself. This time, I'll get to prove my strength. This time, you have us. The three ran out past the village gates towards the mountain pass. Before them, there was a 30-foot tall, terrifying chimera. It was part bear, frog, and moose, the Wakalee Garu. Groz ran towards the monster. He leapt and attacked the bear portion with his axe, but the chimera was able to grow spikes across its arms and back to protect itself from the mighty strike. The frog portion began spitting up an oozing purple liquid from its tongue, and Groz evaded every drop. When the liquid touched the rocky terrain, the stone began to dissolve. The moose portion then began charging electricity through the antlers and released the lightning towards Groz, who rolled out of the way, evading what would certainly be a fatal strike. Groz, we need to work together. This creature is very dangerous. I am strong, halfling. Don't get in my way. You've always been so thick-headed, Groz. Groz was overtaken by the overwhelming feeling. Somehow, he knew what Ruku was saying was the truth. But how could this be? We don't have time for this. Time to divide and conquer. I'll take out the bear. Groz, take out the moose. And Ruku, you take out the frog. I wouldn't trust anyone else's eyes more than yours, Salal. Groz, let's follow this plan, and I'm sure we'll end up with a battle that will satisfy us all. Groz looked at Ruku and Salal. I don't understand why I trust you two. I can't explain it. After this battle is over, you better be ready to answer my questions. Of course. We'll answer all of them. The battle waged on for about an hour. Several villagers laid witness to the way the three legendary fighters protected the village. Salal used an innate ability only usable by birdfolk, called cloud surfing. Salal pulled out a purple cloud from his pocket dimension and stood on top of it. allowing him to fly through the sky. Salal pulled out a psionic buster from his pocket dimension as well, preparing to ready his next attack as he charged it with mana. Salal unleashed his monster buster attack, aimed right for the bear's head. Groz evaded the multiple lightning strikes from the moose. Groz dug in deep and channeled sound magic from his voice and roared, causing the ground to shake and the Wakalee Garu to stumble and lose its footing. When the opportunity arose, Groz jumped into the air with his mighty axe drawn, readying the final blow on the moose's head. Ruku started using a starlight spell to attack the Wakalee Garu, the same way he had the Pandaneri. The strikes around the fur and the slimy skin prevented the Chimera from feeling the full effects of the fire attacks. Ruku pulled out his magic tome and searched for a stronger fire spell. Eventually, the magic tome turned pages until a new spell appeared. Ruku casted the Crimson Red spell, and a powerful stream of concentrated fire shot out of Ruku's finger, more powerful than the Starlight spell he previously used. The attack managed to pierce through the frog's head. The three legendary heroes defeated the powerful Wakalee Garu simultaneously. The villagers cheered and raised the heroes who helped protect the village onto their shoulders. The heroes were brought back to the center of the village, where a banquet was held in their honor. Amongst the eating, drinking, and music playing, Ruku filled in Groz on the legend of the seven heroes and the prophecy about the land of monsters. As Groz finished his last pint, he told Ruku and Salal that he would be joining them. It will be the best way to protect his village and other villages like his. Where to next, my friend? Ruku pulled out Salal's golden compass and closed his eyes. Images of colors began to swirl around Ruku's mind like before. This time, the pink floating image began to come into view. He could clearly make out a young tiefling girl wearing an apron. Ruku opened his eyes and looked down at the compass. The arrow pointed southeast. Looks like we need to find Nemia next. Who is Nemia? Alright guys, now I seriously can't contain my excitement about this world building series episode. I'm blown away. Honestly, it's got to be my favorite character art. I got a little bit of redemption when I got to redraw Wild Howler's Wakalee Garu design, so it came out even better this time around. So I am so stoked. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And if you're enjoying the series, tell me, which is your favorite part? Is it meeting the new characters? Is it the storyline? What are you really excited about in this world building challenge? Also, there are 2 more weeks to help me out with this current community redraw. I need your help designing 6 characters that will show up in my Dimensional Adventurer series. You can find that information in the description down below. Just click on the Google Doc and scroll down and you'll see different images and descriptions about those characters. You can submit your art piece via the Discord, which is also linked down below, or via email. So that's dwmsredraws@gmail.com. That's dwmsredraws@gmail.com. I'm looking forward to seeing which character or characters you help me design. As always, I'm drawing with Mr. S, and I'll see you in the next episode. Y'all take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Bye-bye.